Hello there. Welcome to another story time with me, Malford. Today we're going to be telling the story of Dave the Crab. Dave the Crab was an amateur archaeologist who dreamed of finding something incredible. He dreamed of finding something that would change the face of archaeology for all eternity. The key issue was that Dave didn't really know that much about archaeology. He'd seen a few films and kind of decided for himself what archaeology was. His plan was to travel to Guatemala and head to the jungles and find something that no one else had found before. Something incredible. So, he worked double shifts at Tesco's for 6 months to earn enough money to buy a plane ticket. It was a long flight, but when he finally landed, he was ready to discover something special. Unfortunately, Dave didn't really know much about Guatemala, so he decided to go to the Tourist Information Center and ask where the best place to start finding something archaeological would be. So he turned up at the tourist center and he found a very nice ox called Derek. Now Derek didn't know that much about archaeology in itself, but he did know that there were quite a lot of Mayan ruins in Guatemala, in the rainforests, so maybe that's the best place to start. So without another word, Dave headed off in the direction of the rainforests. After asking directions from a few different people and hitching rides here and there, he ended up at the edge of the rainforest. His approach was going to be, because he wanted to find something that no one else had found before, to head into the rainforest in whatever direction he was pointed in and not to stop until he found something. So that's what he did. He walked, and he walked, and he walked. 4 days later, he'd been walking in what he thought was a straight line the entire time, although he couldn't entirely be sure because he didn't have any real navigation skills. And he hadn't found anything. Well, maybe being an archaeologist wasn't as glamorous as he thought. He was also getting pretty hungry and thirsty. He hadn't eaten or drunk anything because he didn't know what he was doing. As you can probably imagine, he was feeling pretty sorry for himself. Maybe I'm not such a good archaeologist, he thought. Maybe I'm not cut out for this sort of work. But just as he was thinking those thoughts, he stumbled across something. There was a big clearing. In the middle of the jungle, a giant pyramid stood there. He took out his dictaphone and his camera and started recording everything he saw. What an amazing discovery! This place is magnificent! But as he was exploring, he noticed some noises. Was someone else here? He rounded the corner and saw a pair of lemurs. Someone else was here to claim his discovery. He was outraged, absolutely outraged. He ran over to them and started shouting at them, saying, "What are you doing here? I found this place. How did you get here? How did you find this?" And it seemed like they didn't speak English based on their reaction. They pretty much just panicked and ran away from him. He was beginning to feel pretty depressed about the whole thing. And he turned around and he saw, what was this? Another group of lemurs. This time 3 or 4 of them. He ran over to them. "What the hell are you doing here? How did you get here? What have I stumbled into here?" Well, they didn't know what he was saying either, but one of them started gesturing towards what looked like a coach. A couple of coaches? A car park? No, that couldn't be right. This was his archaeological discovery. There was a car park there. Yeah. Well, it turned out that Dave had pretty much stumbled across a big tourist destination. It was an ancient ruin and would have been a great discovery if he'd found it 40 years ago like everyone else had. It was quite disheartening for him, as you might imagine. So he decided he was probably going to call it quits. So he went over to the nearest coach and basically asked for a lift. He said, "Look, I need to get back to the city. I don't know how I got here. I'm really hungry. I'm really thirsty. Will you let me on?" And they said, "Have you got a ticket?" He said, "Well, no, I don't have a ticket. I just walked here." And they said, "Oh, you can't get on without a ticket." So he got on the next bus and said, "Listen, I'm really hungry. I'm really thirsty. I need to get back to the city. Can I get on this bus, please?" And they said, "Sorry, have you got a ticket?" And he said, No, I don't have a ticket, but I might well die if I don't get back to the city." And they said, "Well, you can't get on without a ticket." And that went on for 10, 20, 30 minutes. He went to every coach in the car park. None of them would let him on. So that was it then. He was going to have to try and walk back, try and remember the way. And he walked off into the jungle and was never seen again. And the moral of the story is, never follow your dreams. Thanks for watching. Bye. Here you go. Another story. That one was depressing, wasn't it? Cool. You had a bad time. So my last video, I had a first. I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but the first comment that got posted was bireless hatred. You know you've arrived when you get bireless hatred. So if you fancy leaving me some bireless hatred, just pop it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to put the last video here, and the one before that here, real small. Just distracting everyone. And if you liked it, do a subscribe on it. Cool. See you later.